The boy's cheeks slammed against the cold tile floor as the fluorescent lights above buzzed mercilessly, harsh and unblinking. A heavy knee dug into his back, pinning him down with brutal force. "Stop resisting!" the officer barked. But Marcus wasn't resisting. His trembling hands were already stretched out in surrender. Shoppers froze in the aisles. Some raised their phones to record, while others looked away, pretending not to see. The store manager's voice sliced through the chaos. "I told you, he was stealing." But Marcus wasn't stealing. He was clutching a crumpled receipt, damp with sweat. "Please!" he gasped, his voice breaking. "Check the bag, please!" The officer didn't check. Instead, he dragged Marcus across the floor, past shelves of candy, past children staring wide-eyed, and then something slipped from Marcus's pocket, something that would make the entire town explode. His name was Marcus Reed, 17 years old, a senior at Lincoln High with a heart full of stories and a dream that refused to die. He wanted to be a filmmaker. Every morning before school, Marcus carried an old camcorder that his uncle had given him, capturing fragments of life others overlooked. The sunrise spilling across cracked sidewalks, his little sister hopping over puddles, his mother braiding her hair before work. "Always find the light," his uncle had told him. "Even in the dark. That's what a filmmaker does." At school, Marcus preferred sitting in the back, not because he didn't care, but because he loved to observe. He noticed everything. He noticed the way teachers smiled wider at white students, how security guards seemed to linger when he walked by, how whispers followed him when he entered a room. He noticed, but he stayed quiet. After school, Marcus worked at the corner grocery store, stocking shelves and sweeping floors, saving every dollar for college. He dreamed of studying film in New York, of telling stories that mattered. At home, life was small but warm. His mother, Denise, worked double shifts at the hospital, her exhaustion masked by love. His 9-year-old sister, Layla, adored him. She begged him to replay his shaky footage of her dancing in the living room, giggling at her own reflection on the tiny camcorder screen. "You're gonna be famous one day," she told him. Marcus only smiled. "Not me," he said softly. "My stories." But the world around them wasn't always kind. At the grocery store, customers clutched their purses tighter when Marcus bagged their groceries. The manager, Mr. Keller, reminded him daily, "Keep your hands visible. Don't linger near the register. Don't give people reasons to complain." Marcus swallowed the humiliation every time. He didn't know that this was the last week life would feel normal. It began on a gray Wednesday, with rain tapping against windows as Marcus walked home from work, headphones in. That was when the police cruiser slowed beside him. "Hey! You! Stop!" The words froze Marcus in place. He pulled out his earbuds as 2 officers stepped out, their hands resting on their belts. "Where are you coming from?" one asked. "Work," Marcus replied, pointing to the grocery store apron still tucked under his jacket. The officers circled him, their eyes sharp, suspicious. "Got ID?" He handed it over. They glanced at it, exchanged a look, and one of them chuckled. "Looks like a match." Marcus frowned. A match for what? They didn't answer. Instead, they rifled through his backpack, tossing his notebooks, pencils, and camcorder onto the wet sidewalk. One officer picked up the camera. "Why do you have this?" Marcus's throat tightened. It's for film class." They found nothing, shoved his belongings back at him, and drove off laughing. Marcus stood in the rain, shaking. That was the first time. The second time came 2 days later. He walked into the school cafeteria and felt the shift instantly. Heads turned, phones lit up. On the screen, a rumor was spreading. Grainy footage of a black teen casing houses in the neighborhood. The figure's build, his hoodie, everything matched Marcus. He knew it wasn't him. He had been at work. But rumors spread faster than truth. Teammates kept their distance, some joking nervously. Yo, man, you sure you're not out here doing shady stuff? Their laughter wasn't lighthearted. Even his teacher, Mrs. Lang, hesitated before addressing him in class. That night at dinner, Marcus sat in silence, his mother watching closely. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Nothing," he lied. He couldn't bear to add weight to her already heavy shoulders. By Saturday, the walls were closing in. Marcus went to the electronics store downtown, clutching $25 he'd saved for a new SD card. He found one, paid in cash, and kept the receipt folded neatly in his pocket. But as he walked toward the exit, the alarm blared. Beep, beep, beep. Every head snapped toward him. The manager stormed over, eyes sharp with judgment. "Empty your pockets." Marcus pulled out the receipt, desperate. "I paid," he said. The manager snatched the paper, crumpled it, and sneered. Fake. Within moments, security guards swarmed him. Someone called the police. Minutes later, Marcus was on the floor, a knee crushing his back. The store was silent except for Marcus's ragged breath and the heavy thud of boots around him. His bag spilled open across the tiles, books, pencils, the sealed SD card. And then, something slid from his pocket. Not stolen goods, his camcorder. It hit the floor with a crack, still recording, the red light blinking defiantly. One officer bent down, curious, and pressed play. The tiny screen flickered to life. There it was, proof. Marcus at the register. His hand passing cash. The cashier handing him the bag, the receipt in his palm. The crowd gasped. "Wait! He paid!" "Did you see that?" He paid. But the officer's knee didn't budge. It pressed harder, forcing a cry from Marcus's throat. And then a piercing voice shattered the silence. "Let him go!" Layla. She had run into the store, her small face streaked with tears. "That's my brother! He didn't steal!" The crowd fractured. Some shouted at the officers. Others raised their phones higher. Still, the knee stayed planted. The camcorder slipped again, crashing against the tiles. The lens cracked. The screen went black. The last image etched into everyone's memory. Marcus's wide, terrified eyes staring straight into the camera. The video didn't stay buried. It leaked online, uploaded by a bystander who had recorded the camcorder's footage before the screen died. By morning, thousands had seen it. Headlines screamed across the country. Teen dragged from store despite proof of innocence. Protests erupted outside the electronics shop. Students at Lincoln High walked out, chanting his name. Signs filled the streets. Justice for Marcus. Always. Watching. At home, Marcus sat on the couch in silence, hands trembling as if the officer's grip still lingered. His camcorder lay broken beside him, shards of his dreams scattered across the floor. His mother held him tight, her voice low and fierce. "They can break your camera," she whispered, "but not your story." The officers were placed on leave. The manager resigned. But inside the Reed household, justice felt hollow. Marcus flinched at every siren. He walked with his head down. He stopped filming, and Layla, once his biggest star, refused to dance when he pointed a camera at her. Weeks later, Marcus sat in his room staring at the broken camcorder. He pressed the cracked button. To his surprise, it still played. On the screen, a single voice echoed, "That's my brother. He didn't steal." Marcus closed his eyes as tears streamed down his face. He whispered to himself, "Always find the light," and so he picked up a notebook. He began writing, not about dreams this time, but about truth, because his story no longer belonged to him alone. It belonged to everyone who had seen the video, to everyone who marched, to everyone who whispered, "It could have been me." And as the video reached millions, one haunting question remained: if proof on camera still isn't enough, what will it take for justice to mean justice? This wasn't just Marcus's story. It's the reality of countless voices silenced every day. Have you ever felt the weight of injustice on your own skin? Tell us in the comments. And if you believe these stories must never be ignored, subscribe and stand with us.